The story begins in New York City, where we see a classroom full of kids talking about their dreams for the future. Their teacher asks each student what they want to become someday, and one by one, the kids start sharing their plans. But then it's Reed's turn, a quiet but incredibly intelligent kid who clearly thinks way ahead of everyone else around him. Reed confidently tells the class that he's working on a machine that can teleport objects from one place to another in just a few seconds. He says he wants to keep improving it because he believes this technology could completely change the future. But instead of taking him seriously, the entire classroom bursts into laughter. The students start making fun of him, and even the teacher thinks Reed is joking around. Nobody believes a kid his age could build something so advanced, so the teacher shuts him down and tells him to sit back at his desk. Still, there's one person in that classroom who actually believes him, a boy named Ben. Unlike everyone else, Ben is fascinated by Reed's idea. He genuinely thinks Reed might already be close to creating a real teleportation device, and the project instantly grabs his attention. Later that night, we see Reed sneaking into an old junkyard, trying to steal an electric converter for his experiment. But once he gets there, he realizes the junkyard actually belongs to Ben's father. Ben catches Reed in the act, but instead of getting angry, he listens as Reed explains his entire vision. Reed tells him that he's building a teleportation machine that could someday help all of humanity. Ben had already been curious about the project ever since hearing about it in school, so when Reed asks for help, Ben immediately agrees to join him. He loves building things too, and from that moment on, the two become partners. Over the next 7 years, Reed and Ben spend nearly all their time working together on the machine. Slowly but surely, they manage to build a working prototype, and they're finally close to turning it into a fully functional teleporter. Before completing it though, they decide to present their invention at a science exhibition, hoping professional scientists will recognize their talent and support their research. At the exhibition, Reed and Ben proudly explain how their teleportation machine works. To prove it's real, they use the device to send a small toy helicopter into another dimension right in front of everyone. But instead of being amazed, the crowd thinks it's just some kind of magic trick. None of the scientists believe the experiment is real science, and Reed and Ben end up getting kicked out of the exhibition. Both of them are crushed. After spending years working on the project, it feels like nobody believes in them. That's when a scientist named Franklin approaches them. Unlike everyone else, Franklin is genuinely impressed by what they've accomplished. He reveals that he's been working on a similar teleportation project himself, but even with all his resources, progress has been slow. Seeing what Reed and Ben achieved at such a young age shocks him, and he immediately realizes how brilliant they are. Franklin's student Susan is also there with him, and she's equally amazed by the boy's invention. But Franklin also points out a major flaw in their machine. He explains that while they've successfully managed to send objects to another dimension, nothing they teleport has ever returned. According to him, solving that problem could completely revolutionize science and break countless records. Impressed by their potential, Franklin offers both Reed and Ben scholarships to join his prestigious research institute and continue working on the teleportation project there. The two are beyond excited. For the first time in their lives, real scientists are taking them seriously. They know this institute is filled with some of the greatest scientific minds in the world, and now they finally have the resources and guidance they need to complete their machine. Soon after arriving at the institute, Reed and Ben immediately get back to work on the teleporter. And during this time, Reed slowly starts getting closer to Susan. The more time he spends around her, the more he begins falling for her. And little by little, the two start developing a connection. At the same time, we're introduced to the institute's board members, who are holding an important meeting about the teleportation project. Dr. Franklin is there as well, and he tells the board that if they truly want the project to succeed, they need to bring back a former student named Victor. According to Franklin, Victor was one of the smartest minds the institute had ever seen, and he had previously worked on the teleportation program before leaving because of conflicts within the organization. Franklin strongly believes Victor is the key to completing the machine successfully. The board eventually agrees, and Victor is brought back into the project. Now the team officially consists of Reed, Ben, Victor, and Johnny, Susan's younger brother, all working together on the teleportation device. From that point on, the group becomes completely obsessed with finishing the machine. They spend day and night working non-stop, pushing the project further than anyone thought possible. After weeks of intense work, they finally succeed in creating a fully operational teleportation system. Now comes the most important part, testing whether the machine can actually send something to another world and safely bring it back. If it works, the project will officially be a success. For the test, they place a chimpanzee inside the machine and teleport it to another dimension. Everyone waits nervously, and moments later, the chimp is successfully brought back alive. The room immediately erupts with excitement. The scientists can hardly believe what they've accomplished. They've just created a machine that could completely change human history forever. But right after this breakthrough, the institute's director, Dr. Allen, makes an announcement that instantly kills the excitement. He says the next phase of testing, sending humans through the portal, will be handed over to NASA. According to him, trained astronauts should be the first people to attempt the mission. After dedicating years of their lives to this project, they feel like NASA is about to steal all the credit for their work. More importantly, they believe they deserve to be the first humans to step into another world because they're the ones who built the machine in the first place. So the team secretly decides they'll carry out the human test themselves. Eventually, Reed, Ben, Johnny, and Victor prepare to travel through the teleporter, while Susan stays behind at the Institute to monitor the mission from Earth. The four of them enter the machine, and within moments, they successfully arrive in an entirely different world known as Planet Zero. The second they step onto the planet, they're completely stunned. Everything about Planet Zero feels alien. The atmosphere, the landscape, and the strange glowing environment look nothing like Earth. As they begin exploring the area, Victor notices a pool of glowing green lava nearby. Curious, he walks closer and reaches out to touch it. The moment he makes contact, a massive explosion suddenly erupts across the planet. The blast sends everyone into panic, and Victor is violently thrown straight into the green lava. Reed, Ben, and Johnny are horrified, believing Victor has just died right in front of them. Terrified and desperate to survive, the three rush back toward the teleportation pod so Susan can pull them back to Earth. Back at the Institute, Susan immediately begins bringing them home. But the explosion on Planet Zero starts affecting the portal itself, and the energy surge travels directly back to Earth. Inside the Institute, a huge explosion tears through the facility as the portal destabilizes. The entire building begins collapsing around them because the gateway between the two worlds is still open. Even though the Institute is nearly destroyed, Susan manages to bring Reed, Ben, and Johnny back to Earth just in time. But after everything they've seen, and after losing Victor on Planet Zero, none of their lives will ever be the same again. But after returning from Planet Zero, Reed, Ben, and Johnny begin experiencing terrifying changes in their bodies. The atmosphere of that alien world had completely altered their DNA at a molecular level. None of them were normal anymore. Somehow, Planet Zero had given them strange and uncontrollable powers. We first see Reed being held in restraints because his body has become unbelievably flexible. His entire body now stretches like rubber, bending and expanding in ways no human body ever could. Then we see Susan, who was also affected by the explosion, back at the Institute, even though she never actually traveled to Planet Zero herself. The blast changed her too, giving her the ability to turn invisible whenever she wants. She's basically become a superhuman capable of disappearing completely in an instant. Susan's brother Johnny has changed as well. His body can now generate and absorb massive amounts of fire and heat. He's able to withstand temperatures of over 4,000 degrees, turning himself into a living flame. His powers make him incredibly dangerous and incredibly powerful. And then there's Ben. Ben's transformation is by far the most horrifying of them all. His entire body has turned into a massive rock-like structure, making him look more like a giant monster than a human being. His skin is now covered in stone, giving him unbelievable strength and durability. Because of their abilities, the US military and intelligence agencies quickly step in. The government considers them too dangerous to be left alone, so all of them are taken to a secret facility known as Area 57. There, they're kept under strict supervision, so scientists can study their powers and make sure they don't become a threat to society. A few days later, Reed finally regains consciousness and fully realizes what has happened to him. Once he understands the extent of his powers, he uses his elastic body to escape the restraints holding him down. Stretching himself through the ventilation system, he manages to break out of the facility. While escaping, Reed sees Ben locked away inside another room. Seeing his best friend trapped in such a horrifying condition completely breaks him emotionally. Reed feels responsible for everything that happened. Before leaving, he promises Ben that he'll come back for him and find a way to save him. Then Reed disappears from Area 57 and goes into hiding. Back at the facility, Dr. Allen informs Dr. Franklin that Reed has escaped. Franklin is shocked, but Allen is far more concerned about the danger Reed could pose now that he has superhuman abilities. The government immediately begins searching for him. Desperate to track Reed down, Dr. Allen approaches Ben with an offer. By this point, Ben's condition has become even worse, and he's slowly losing hope of ever becoming human again. Allen tells him that if he helps the government capture Reed, the scientists may be able to cure him and restore his normal body. Ben is torn apart emotionally, but deep down, all he wants is his old life back. Despite deploying military forces and intelligence agents everywhere, the government still can't find Reed. Years begin to pass. During this time, Susan, Johnny, and Ben start working directly with the military, using their powers to complete dangerous missions for the US government. Together, the three become living weapons capable of carrying out operations no ordinary soldiers ever could. The government is thrilled with the results, and Dr. Allen proudly tells officials that they now possess superpowered individuals strong enough to destroy entire enemy nations if necessary. But Allen's real goal is far bigger than anyone realizes. He still wants Reed found because only Reed can rebuild the teleportation machine. Allen is obsessed with returning to Planet Zero and harvesting its mysterious energy source. He believes that energy could be used to create more superpowered soldiers just like Ben, Johnny, and Susan, an unstoppable army that could protect America and dominate every other nation on Earth. And without Reed, none of that is possible. So the search for Reed continues, because to Dr. Allen, Reed isn't just a missing scientist anymore, he's the key to creating the future of superhuman warfare. Dr. Franklin later approaches Susan, hoping she might know where Reed is hiding, but Susan tells him she honestly has no idea where he went. Franklin asks her to keep searching for him, and eventually Susan begins trying to track Reed down herself. Meanwhile, Reed has completely disappeared from society. He's changed his appearance, abandoned his old identity, and is secretly living in hiding somewhere far away from the government. During this time, he's also working on a special teleportation suit, because deep down, he still blames himself for what happened to Ben. Reed believes the only way to save his friend is to return to Planet Zero and find some kind of cure. Eventually, Susan discovers Reed's location and reports it back to the others. The government immediately assembles a military team to bring him in, and Ben is included in the mission as well. Soon, Reed's hideout is surrounded from every direction. Ben confronts him personally, determined to take him back no matter what. A fight breaks out, and despite Reed resisting, the team eventually captures him and forces him back to the facility. Once Reed returns, Dr. Allen pressures him into rebuilding the teleportation machine. Reed refuses at first because he no longer trusts the project after everything that happened, but Allen explains that they need to return to Planet Zero to collect its energy source, claiming it could benefit all of humanity. Reed doesn't care about any of that. The only thing that matters to him is saving Ben. Sensing this, Allen manipulates him with a promise. He tells Reed that if the mission succeeds, and they manage to bring back enough energy from Planet Zero, they'll use that energy to restore Ben's human body. Hearing this finally convinces Reed to cooperate, even though he still feels deep down that bringing Planet Zero's energy to Earth could become incredibly dangerous. Still, for Ben's sake, Reed agrees. After days of non-stop work, Reed successfully rebuilds the teleportation machine. Once it's operational again, Dr. Allen sends a team of soldiers through the portal to Planet Zero. But after arriving there, the soldiers notice a strange figure slowly walking toward them through the darkness. As the figure gets closer, they realize something unbelievable. It's Victor. Everyone had assumed Victor died in the explosion years ago, but somehow he survived all alone on Planet Zero. The soldiers quickly bring him back to Earth through the portal, and the scientists are completely shocked to see him alive. There's no logical way he should have survived for years on an alien planet without food or water. And then they realize the truth. Planet Zero changed Victor too. His body is horribly burned and scarred, but he's still alive, and it's obvious he now possesses terrifying powers of his own. Victor has become something far beyond human. Dr. Allen immediately tries questioning him about his abilities, hoping to understand what happened to him. But inside Victor's mind, something much darker has already taken over. After spending years abandoned on Planet Zero, Victor has grown to hate humanity completely. He believes the people of Earth left him there to die and never even tried to save him. Now all he wants is revenge. Victor decides that humanity doesn't deserve to survive anymore. In his twisted mind, the only solution is to destroy Earth entirely and rebuild a new world from scratch. Without warning, Victor suddenly attacks the lab. Within moments, he brutally kills Dr. Allen, along with several scientists inside the facility. Chaos erupts everywhere as Victor begins unleashing his incredible powers. He no longer sees himself as human, and he no longer cares about human lives. As Victor heads toward the teleportation machine, Dr. Franklin desperately tries to stop him. Franklin begs Victor to think about what he's doing and tells him this path will only lead to destruction. But Victor refuses to listen. In a horrifying moment, he kills Dr. Franklin too. After that, Victor enters the portal and returns to Planet Zero. But this time, he uses the teleportation system in a terrifying new way. The portal begins growing uncontrollably, almost like a black hole, pulling in everything around it. Massive destruction starts spreading across Earth as the unstable gateway threatens to consume the entire planet. And before Reed and the others can escape, they too are dragged through the portal, straight back to Planet Zero. Victor's plan is now fully clear. He wants to use the portal to consume the entire Earth, wiping out humanity completely so he can create a brand new world in its place. As Reed and the others arrive back on Planet Zero, they watch in horror as the portal begins tearing Earth apart from the inside. Entire sections of the planet are being pulled toward Planet Zero, and if they don't stop Victor soon, billions of people will die. Realizing there's no other option left, Reed and the team decide to fight him together. One by one, they attack Victor, but he's far too powerful. After spending years surviving on Planet Zero, his abilities have evolved far beyond anything they expected. Every time one of them tries to take him on alone, Victor easily overpowers them. It quickly becomes obvious that none of them can defeat him individually. That's when Reed finally understands something important. Their powers were never meant to work separately, so instead of fighting alone, the team finally comes together and attacks Victor as one united force. During the massive battle, Susan uses her abilities to create openings, Johnny unleashes his full firepower against Victor, and Reed uses his stretching abilities to keep Victor distracted long enough for Ben to get close. Then, at the perfect moment, Ben delivers one massive punch straight into Victor. The impact launches Victor directly toward the unstable portal. He becomes trapped inside the collapsing energy field, and because the portal is already destabilizing, Victor suddenly begins losing control of his powers. Seconds later, a huge explosion erupts inside the portal, completely destroying him once and for all. But even after Victor dies, the portal is still active and continues pulling Earth toward Planet Zero. With almost no time left, Johnny pushes his powers to the limit and uses his flames to destroy the teleportation machine itself. Finally, the portal collapses, stopping the destruction before Earth can be completely consumed. Slowly, everything begins returning to normal. After surviving the battle, Reed and the others use the remaining portal system to travel back to Earth safely. This time, things are different. They're no longer experiments, victims, or government weapons. They're a team. Later, government gives Reed and his friends a new base where they can train, study their powers, and learn how to control their abilities properly. But the group makes one important decision together. They refuse to be used as scientific experiments ever again. From now on, they'll use their powers only to protect innocent people and help the world. And with that, Fantastic Four comes to an end.